3 in the morning, and I'm standing in my kitchen like some pathetic detective in a discount thriller, holding my wife's phone while she snores upstairs. The blue light from the screen makes everything look washed out, which feels about right for my marriage these days. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I'm Daniel Cooper, 38 years old, civil engineer, and apparently the last person in Portland, Maine to figure out his wife is cheating on him. The irony isn't lost on me. I design bridges for a living, but I couldn't see the one my wife was burning right under my nose. The text message glows like a neon confession. Last night was incredible. Can't wait to have you all to myself at my place tomorrow, Adrian. Adrian. Of course it's Adrian. Vanessa's been dropping his name for months like breadcrumbs, talking about this brilliant photographer she's been working with for her luxury brand campaigns. How he's so creative, so different from the boring engineers she usually deals with. How he really understands her artistic vision. I should be furious. I should be upstairs right now, shaking her awake, demanding explanations. Instead, I'm standing here in my boxers and old MIT t-shirt, feeling something colder than anger, something more calculating. See, here's the thing about engineers. We don't just build things, we also know exactly how to tear them down. I take a photo of the text thread with my own phone, then scroll up. There's a whole conversation here, going back weeks. Details that would make a sailor blush, plans for romantic getaways, complaints about her clueless husband who works too much and doesn't appreciate her. Daniel never notices anything, one message reads. He's so wrapped up in his little projects, I could probably bring you home, and he wouldn't even look up from his blueprints. She's not wrong about that. I have been working a lot lately. The city's been fast-tracking a new bridge project, and I've been pulling 12-hour days. But apparently, while I was designing infrastructure to last 100 years, my wife was planning the demolition of our marriage. I put her phone back exactly where I found it, next to her purse on the counter. Vanessa's always been careless with her devices. She thinks her charm and looks are enough security for anything. Another miscalculation. Upstairs, she's sprawled across our king-size bed like she owns the whole thing, which, legally speaking, she doesn't. The house is in my name only. We bought it before we got married, and I never added her to the deed. At the time, it seemed like a minor detail. Now it feels like divine intervention. Vanessa stirs as I slip back into bed, her blonde hair catching the moonlight from our bedroom window. She's still beautiful. I'll give her that. 35 and could pass for 28, the kind of woman who stops traffic and knows it. "Where were you?" she mumbles, not really awake. "Bathroom." I lie smoothly. "Go back to sleep." She rolls over, and within minutes she's snoring again. The sound used to be endearing. Now it just sounds like betrayal with a deviated septum. I stare at the ceiling, my mind already working through possibilities. Today, technically, is Friday. Vanessa mentioned she's working late again, probably another client meeting with Adrian, which gives me time to do some research. What do you call a marriage where your wife's phone gets more action than your bed? Modern. But here's what Vanessa doesn't know about her boring engineer husband. I didn't get where I am by letting people walk all over me. I got here by being smarter than they think I am, and by never ever letting anyone see me coming. She wants excitement? She's about to get the thrill ride of her life. Friday morning arrives with the kind of gray Maine drizzle that makes everything look like a crime scene. Perfect weather for what I have planned. Vanessa's already gone by the time I get up. She left a note saying she had an early meeting with a potential client. Sure she did. The note is written on our expensive letterhead, the kind she insists we need to maintain our image. Everything with Vanessa is about image. I make coffee and call my office, telling them I'm taking a personal day. My assistant Carol doesn't ask questions. After 15 years with the firm, I've earned some flexibility. My first stop is my sister Lila's law office downtown, Lila's 3 years younger than me, twice as sharp, and has never liked Vanessa. She's also one of the best divorce attorneys in New England, though I'm hoping it won't come to that. I have something more creative in mind. Danny? Lila looks up from her desk, surprised. What brings you here? And why do you look like someone ran over your dog? More like someone's been walking my dog behind my back, I say, settling into the leather chair across from her desk. I need some legal advice, hypothetically speaking. Lila sets down her pen and leans back. She's wearing one of her power suits, navy blue, perfectly tailored, designed to intimidate opposing counsel. Hypothetically, huh? This wouldn't have anything to do with your wife, would it? I show her the photo I took of Vanessa's text messages. Lila studies it, her expression shifting from curiosity to professional focus to something that looks like satisfaction. Well, she says finally, hypothetically speaking, you're in a better position than most men who find themselves in this situation. The house is yours, right? And most of your assets are separate? Everything major is in my name. We have a joint checking account, but most of my money goes into accounts she doesn't have access to. Smart. What about her income? That's the interesting part. Her biggest client is actually my company. We hired her firm to handle social media for the new bridge project. She's essentially working for me, and she doesn't even realize it. Lila grins, and it's not a nice expression. Oh, Danny, this is going to be fun. We spend an hour going over my options. Lila explains the legal implications of various scenarios, what I can and can't do, and how to protect myself if things get ugly. By the time I leave her office, I have a plan that would make Machiavelli proud. My next stop is the engineering firm. I need to talk to Mike Patterson, my best friend, and the closest thing I have to a partner in crime. Mike's been my buddy since college, and he's the only person I trust with the technical aspects of what I'm about to do. I find Mike in the break room, attacking a sandwich that looks like it could feed a small family. Cooper, he says, through a mouthful of pastrami, thought you were taking the day off. I am. I need a favor. Mike swallows and gives me a look. What kind of favor? And why do you look like you're planning someone's funeral? I fill him in on the situation, showing him the same photo I showed Lila. Mike's reaction is more colorful than my sister's. That cheating witch, he says, loud enough that I have to shush him. What do you need me to do? Want me to go have a conversation with this Adrian guy? Nothing violent, I say quickly. I need something more elegant. You still have access to the building management systems for downtown properties? Mike nods slowly. Our firm has contracts with half the commercial real estate in Portland. We handle everything from HVAC systems to security upgrades. What building are we talking about? He asks. The Meridian Arts Complex. That's where Adrian Brooks has his photography studio. Mike pulls up the building information on his laptop. Yeah, we installed their new electrical system last year. What are you thinking? I'm thinking Adrian's lease might become problematic, especially if certain building code violations come to light during a routine inspection. Danny, Mike says, grinning now. You magnificent bastard, when do we start? The rest of the day is spent laying groundwork. Mike handles the technical aspects, while I make some calls to people who owe me favors. By 5 o'clock, I have enough information about Adrian Brooks to write his biography. He's 32, originally from California, moved to Maine 3 years ago to find his artistic voice. His studio lease is month to month, which means he has no long-term security. His business is barely profitable. He's been late on rent twice this year. And most interesting of all, he has a reputation for sleeping with his clients. Vanessa isn't his first married conquest. She's just his most recent. I'm sitting in my car outside the Meridian Arts Complex when my phone buzzes with a text from my wife. Working late again tonight. Don't wait up. Love you. Love you. The words feel like a slap across the face. I text back. No problem. I have some work to catch up on too. Which is true in a way. I'm about to put in some serious overtime on the demolition project of my marriage. Saturday morning, Vanessa sleeps until 10, which gives me plenty of time to set the next phase of my plan in motion. She's been exhausted from all her late nights lately. I can imagine why. When she finally stumbles downstairs, she's wearing one of my old engineering conference t-shirts and a pair of yoga pants that probably cost more than most people's car payments. Even betrayed and plotting revenge, I can admit she looks good. It's part of what makes this whole situation so infuriating. "Morning, honey," she says, kissing my cheek like nothing's wrong. "Sleep well?" "Like a baby," I lie, sipping my coffee. "You were out cold when I went to bed." "All those client meetings are wearing me out," she says, and I have to admire her commitment to the performance. But the new campaign is really coming together. Adrian thinks it could be award-winning work. Adrian thinks. Everything lately comes back to what Adrian thinks. "That's great," I say. "When do I get to see this masterpiece?" "Soon," she says, but she won't meet my eyes. "We're still fine-tuning some details." "I bet you are." After breakfast, Vanessa announces she's going shopping with her friend Jules. This is perfect. It gives me the whole day to work without interference. My first task is financial reconnaissance. I spend 2 hours going through our accounts, documenting exactly where our money is and who has access to what. The joint checking account has about $3,000 in it. Everything else, the savings, the investment accounts, my retirement fund, is mine alone. Then I make a few phone calls. The first is to our bank, where I've been a customer for 15 years. I explain that I'm concerned about unusual activity on our joint account and ask them to flag any large withdrawals for verification. The customer service representative is happy to help. The second call is to our credit card company. Same story. I'm worried about fraud and want to be notified of any unusual charges. They set up alerts on both our cards. The third call is to our car insurance company. Vanessa's BMW is financed through my credit, which means I have certain rights regarding the vehicle. I don't do anything dramatic, yet, but I make sure I understand my options. By the time Vanessa gets home, laden with shopping bags from stores I can't afford, I'm sitting on the couch watching college football like nothing's changed. "How was shopping?" I ask. "Expensive," she says with a laugh. "But Jules found the most amazing dress for her birthday party next weekend. You should see it." "Speaking of parties," I say casually, "didn't you mention something about a work event coming up?" Vanessa freezes for just a moment, so briefly that most people would miss it. But I'm watching for it. "Oh, that," she says, recovering quickly. "It's just a small networking thing. Boring industry stuff. You wouldn't be interested." "Try me. Maybe I'll come along, meet some of your colleagues." "No!" The word comes out sharper than she intended. "I mean, it's really not your scene. Very artsy, very pretentious. You'd hate it." "If you say so." But I can see the panic in her eyes. Whatever she and Adrian are planning, they don't want me there. That evening, while Vanessa's in the shower, I do some more research on my laptop. Social media is a beautiful thing when you're conducting surveillance. Adrian Brooks has an Instagram account with thousands of followers, and he's not shy about documenting his life. There are photos of his studio, his apartment, his car, a vintage Mustang he's clearly proud of. There are artistic shots of his various female collaborators, including several that look suspiciously intimate. And there, buried in the recent posts, is a photo that makes me freeze. It's a shot of 2 wine glasses on a table taken from above. The caption reads, "Perfect evening with my muse. Some collaborations are worth the risk." No filter. Authentic. Artist love. I recognize the wine glasses. They're from our wedding registry, a set we got from Vanessa's mother. Which means Adrian has been in my house. They've been screwing in my bed. The shower is still running upstairs. I have maybe 5 more minutes before Vanessa comes down. I screenshot the photo and several others, then clear my browser history. When Vanessa appears, wrapped in the terry cloth robe I bought her for Christmas, she looks relaxed and happy, probably planning her next rendezvous. "What are you working on?" she asks, glancing at my laptop. "Just some calculations for the bridge project," I say. "Stress analysis." Sounds thrilling. she says, with the kind of patronizing smile that used to charm me. Now it just feels like condescension. Oh, it is, I reply. You'd be amazed how much pressure a structure can take before it collapses. The key is finding the exact weak point. She kisses the top of my head and heads to the kitchen. Well, don't stay up too late with your numbers. Numbers, like my work is some kind of hobby instead of the career that pays for her shopping sprees and wine tastings. I close the laptop and follow her to the kitchen, where she's pouring herself a glass of the expensive Pinot Noir we save for special occasions. Celebrating something? I ask. Just the weekend, she says, but there's something in her voice, something secretive and excited. To the weekend, I say, raising my water glass in a mock toast. To new beginnings, she replies, and clinks her glass against mine. New beginnings. If only she knew how right she was. Monday morning brings the kind of clarity that only comes from having a plan. While Vanessa rushes around getting ready for another day of client meetings, I'm already 3 steps ahead of her. I might be late again tonight, she says, applying lipstick in the hallway mirror. Adrian wants to do a night shoot for the campaign. Something about the lighting being perfect after sunset. I bet he does. No problem, I say. I'll probably work late too. Big presentation tomorrow. She kisses me goodbye, and I taste the lie on her lips. 20 minutes after she leaves, I'm on the phone with Mike. Phase 2? He asks. Phase 2. Mike meets me at the Meridian Arts Complex at 9:30. He's wearing his official building inspector outfit, hard hat, clipboard, the works. Anyone who sees us will assume we're there on legitimate business, which, technically, we are. Elevator's been making weird noises, Mike says as we ride up to the 4th floor where Adrian's studio is located. Might need to shut it down for repairs. Safety first, I agree. Adrian's studio is at the end of the hall, behind a door marked with his name in pretentious lowercase letters, Adrian Brooks Photography. Even his signage irritates me. Mike pulls out his tablet and starts running diagnostics on the building's electrical systems. Well, he says after a few minutes. Looks like someone's been drawing a lot more power than they're supposed to. Those photography lights are serious energy hogs. Code violation? Multiple code violations. Fire hazard, actually. I'm going to have to file a report. While Mike works his magic with the building systems, I take a walk around the complex. It's one of those converted warehouse spaces that tries too hard to be hip. Exposed brick, industrial fixtures, the kind of place that charges premium rent for character. I run into the building manager, a guy named Tom, who I've worked with on other projects. Danny Cooper, he says, shaking my hand. What brings you here? Routine inspection, I say. Mike found some electrical issues that need addressing. Serious? Could be. You know how it is with these old buildings. One tenant overloads the system, everyone suffers. Tom nods grimly. Which tenant? Photography studio on 4, guy named Brooks. Might want to have a conversation with him about his lease terms. I'll look into it, Tom promises. By the time Mike and I leave, Adrian Brooks is going to have some very expensive problems to deal with. My next stop is Vanessa's office building downtown. Her company, Lux Social Media, occupies the 15th floor of a glass tower that screams, "We charge too much for simple services." I know the building well. My firm consulted on the HVAC upgrade 2 years ago. I'm not here to see Vanessa, though. I'm here to see Gina Martinez, her office rival, and the closest thing she has to an enemy at work. Gina and I have met at various company functions, and she's never bothered to hide her disdain for Vanessa. Something about stolen clients and backstabbing, though I never paid much attention to the details. Now I wish I had. I find Gina in the break room, microwaving what looks like a sad desk salad. "Daniel," she says, surprised. "What are you doing here? Vanessa's not in. She's at a client meeting." "Actually, I was hoping to talk to you," I say, "about Vanessa's work with Adrian Brooks." Gina's expression shifts to something more guarded. "What about it?" I'm concerned about the professional nature of their relationship. She studies my face for a long moment, then glances around to make sure we're alone. How concerned? She asks. Concerned enough to wonder if it's affecting the quality of her work or the reputation of the company. Gina sits down at one of the small tables and gestures for me to join her. What do you know? I know they've been spending a lot of time together. I know she's been working late almost every night for weeks. And I know that kind of intensive collaboration doesn't always produce the best results for the client. The client being your company. Among others. Gina nods slowly. There have been rumors. Nothing concrete, but people talk. Especially when someone starts showing up to work looking like they didn't sleep in their own bed. What kind of rumors? That she's been using company resources for personal projects. That some of her recent work has been distracted. That she's been making promises to Adrian that she might not be able to keep. This is better than I hoped. What kind of promises? Exclusive contracts, referrals to other clients, the kind of thing that could get someone in trouble with HR if it came to light. We talk for another 10 minutes, and by the time I leave, I have a much clearer picture of how Vanessa's been conducting herself at work. Gina doesn't say it directly, but the implication is clear. Vanessa's been trading on her marriage to me and my company's contract to impress Adrian. She's been using my reputation to help her seduce another man. The irony is so perfect it almost hurts. That evening, I'm home by 6, which is early for me lately. I make dinner, nothing fancy, just pasta with marinara sauce, and wait for Vanessa to come home. She doesn't. At 8 o'clock she texts, "Shoot running late, grab dinner without me." At 10 o'clock, "Still working, this is taking forever." At midnight, "Finally done, heading home soon." She walks through the door at 12:30, looking flushed and slightly disheveled. Her hair is messed up in a way that suggests hands running through it, and her blouse is wrinkled. "How was the shoot?" I ask from the couch, where I've been waiting with a book and a glass of whiskey. "Exhausting," she says, not quite meeting my eyes. "But we got some amazing shots. Adrian is so talented." "I'm sure he is." She heads upstairs without another word, claiming she needs a shower. I hear the water running for 20 minutes, long enough to wash away evidence of her evening's activities. When she finally comes to bed, she curls up on her side of the mattress without touching me. Within minutes, she's asleep, probably dreaming about her photographer. I lie awake staring at the ceiling, listening to her breathe and planning her downfall. Tomorrow, things get interesting. Tuesday brings the first real test of my patience. I'm sitting in a conference room with the city planning committee, presenting the final designs for the new bridge, when my phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. Lunch meeting with Adrian canceled. Something about electrical problems at his studio. Rain check tonight instead? I have to bite back a smile. Mike works fast. The presentation goes well. The committee approves our design with minimal changes, but I'm distracted by thoughts of what's happening across town. By now, Adrian should be discovering just how expensive it is to run a photography studio with code violations. I'm proven right when I get back to the office and find a voicemail from Tom, the building manager. "Hey Danny, wanted to thank you for catching those electrical issues. Had to shut down power to that photography studio until they can get everything up to code. Gonna cost the tenant about $15,000 to fix. Thought you'd want to know the follow-up." $15,000. That's got to hurt for someone who's been late on rent. My good mood lasts until 3 o'clock when my assistant Carol buzzes my intercom. "Daniel, there's someone here to see you. Says it's urgent." "Who is it?" "A woman named Jules Morrison. Says she's a friend of your wife's." Jules, Vanessa's shopping companion and fellow social media influencer. What could she possibly want with me? I tell Carol to send her in, and a minute later I'm face to face with a woman who looks like she stepped out of an Instagram ad for expensive yoga wear. She's probably 30, with the kind of aggressively maintained appearance that screams lifestyle brand. "Mr. Cooper," she says, settling into the chair across from my desk without being invited. We need to talk. About what? About what you're doing to Adrian Brooks. I keep my expression neutral. I'm sorry, who? Don't play dumb. I know you had his studio shut down. Vanessa is beside herself. I think there's been some confusion, I say calmly. I don't know anyone named Adrian Brooks, and I certainly haven't had anyone's studio shut down. Jules leans forward, her eyes narrowing. Look, I get it. You found out about the affair. You're hurt, but this isn't the way to handle it. What affair would that be? Come on. Vanessa told me you've been acting weird lately. Suspicious. She's scared you're going to do something crazy. I almost laugh. Vanessa's scared. I'm going to do something crazy. If only she knew how crazy I was prepared to get. Jules, I say, keeping my voice level, I think you should leave. And I think you should tell Vanessa that if she has something to discuss with me, she should do it herself, not send her friends to my office with wild accusations. Jules stands up, clearly frustrated. This isn't over, Daniel. Vanessa has friends, people who care about her. We're not going to let you destroy her life just because your marriage isn't working. My marriage is fine, I lie smoothly. But thank you for your concern. After she leaves, I sit back in my chair and consider this development. Vanessa's scared enough to send reinforcements. That means my plan is working. But it also means she's getting desperate, and desperate people do stupid things. I call Lila. They're starting to panic, I tell her. Good. That means you're winning. What's the next move? I think it's time to accelerate the timeline. Can you have those papers ready by Thursday? Already done. You sure you want to go nuclear? She brought Jules Morrison to my office to threaten me. I'd say nuclear is exactly what the situation calls for. Your call, brother. But once we do this, there's no going back. There was no going back the minute she decided to screw another man in our bed. That evening, Vanessa comes home in a mood that's equal parts angry and panicked. She slams her purse down on the kitchen counter, hard enough to rattle the wine glasses. We need to talk, she says. About what? About Adrian's studio, about the electrical problems that mysteriously appeared right after you had lunch with his building manager. I raise an eyebrow. I had lunch with Tom? When was this? Don't lie to me, Daniel. I know what you're doing. What am I doing? She stares at me for a long moment, and I can see her trying to figure out how much I know and how much she can safely admit. You're trying to sabotage my work, she says finally. Adrian is an important client, and you're making it impossible for me to do my job. Adrian is your client now? I thought he was a photographer you were working with. He is. We are. It's complicated. I'm sure it is. We stand there in the kitchen, facing each other across an invisible line that's been drawn by weeks of lies and betrayal. The air between us feels electric, like the moment before a storm breaks. Daniel, she says, her voice softer now. I know things have been difficult between us lately. I know I've been distracted with work. But we can fix this. We can go back to the way things were. Can we? Yes. We just need to communicate better. Be more honest with each other. The word honest coming from her mouth is almost too much to bear. You're right, I say. We should be more honest with each other. Relief floods her face. Exactly. So let's start over. No more suspicion, no more games. Just us, working on our marriage. Absolutely, I agree. In fact, I think we should celebrate this new understanding. Why don't we go out Friday night? Somewhere special. Make it a real date. That sounds wonderful, she says, and for a moment, she looks like the woman I married. Where did you have in mind? How about that new rooftop place downtown? The one with the pool and the city view? Perfect. I'll make a reservation. Great. And Vanessa? Yes? You're right about being honest. I have some things I need to tell you, too. She nods eagerly, probably thinking she's managed to deflect my suspicions and buy herself more time. She has no idea that Friday night is going to be the last date we ever have. Wednesday passes in a blur of preparation. While Vanessa goes through the motions of her normal routine, complete with another late client meeting that I'm sure involves Adrian and a horizontal surface, I'm putting the finishing touches on my masterpiece. Mike confirms that Adrian's studio will be closed for at least another week while he scrambles to find the money for electrical upgrades. Lila has all the legal documents ready, along with a few surprises that should make Friday night memorable. And I've made some calls to people who can ensure that Vanessa's evening goes exactly as planned. Thursday morning, I wake up before dawn and drive to the office early. I want to be there when the first phase of the endgame begins. At exactly 9 o'clock, my phone rings. It's Tom from the Meridian Arts Complex. Danny, I wanted to give you a heads up. That photographer Brooks, he's being evicted. Turns out he's been subletting part of his studio to some other artists without permission, and with the electrical violations, we had to terminate his lease. When does he have to be out? End of the week. Poor bastard seems pretty broken up about it. Had some woman here yesterday crying about how this was going to ruin everything. A woman. I wonder if that was Vanessa. Well, I say, safety has to come first. Absolutely. Thanks again for catching those violations. Could have been a real disaster. The second call comes at 10:30. It's from HR at Vanessa's company. Mr. Cooper, this is Janet Williams from Lux Social Media. I'm calling about the contract between your company and ours. What about it? We've had some concerns raised about potential conflicts of interest involving one of our account managers. I was hoping we could schedule a meeting to discuss the situation. What kind of concerns? I'd rather not discuss it over the phone. Would tomorrow afternoon work for you? Tomorrow afternoon. Right after my lunch with Vanessa, and a few hours before our dinner date. That works perfectly, I say. The third call is one I make myself to Jules Morrison. I got her number from Vanessa's phone the night before. Jules, this is Daniel Cooper. We need to talk. I already told you about Friday night, about the party you and Vanessa are planning. Silence on the other end of the line. I don't know what you're talking about, she says finally. The rooftop party at the Meridian Hotel, the one where Vanessa and Adrian are planning to make their relationship public, the one you're helping to organize. More silence. How did you? It doesn't matter how I know. What matters is that I want to be there. Daniel, I don't think that's a good idea. Oh, but it is, in fact, I insist. And Jules, make sure there are plenty of people there. Vanessa's going to want an audience for what's about to happen. I hang up before she can respond. That evening, Vanessa comes home earlier than usual, looking stressed and distracted. She barely touches her dinner, pushing food around her plate while staring at her phone. Everything okay? I ask. Just work stuff, she says. Some complications with a project. The Adrian Brooks project? She looks up sharply. Why do you ask? You mentioned he was having problems with his studio. Thought it might be affecting your work. It is, actually. We might have to restructure some things. Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out. You're very good at adapting to new situations. She gives me a strange look, like she's trying to decode a hidden meaning in my words. Daniel, she says carefully, about tomorrow night. Are you sure you want to go out? Maybe we should just stay home, order takeout, talk things through quietly. Absolutely not. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a night we'll both remember for the rest of our lives. That's what I'm afraid of, she mutters. What was that? Nothing, I'm just tired. She goes to bed early, claiming a headache. I stay downstairs, making final preparations and enjoying what will probably be my last peaceful evening in this house. Friday morning dawns clear and cold, the kind of October day that makes Maine look like a postcard. Perfect weather for what I have planned. Vanessa leaves early again, kissing me goodbye with the kind of forced affection that's become her trademark. "See you tonight," she says. 7 o'clock? I'll be there, I promise, and I will be. Just not in the way she's expecting. My meeting with HR at Lux Social Media is scheduled for 2 o'clock, which gives me time to have lunch with Mike and go over the final details. "You sure about this?" he asks over sandwiches at our usual deli. "Once you pull this trigger, there's no taking it back." "There's already no taking it back," I tell him. "She made that choice when she decided to humiliate me." "Fair enough. What do you need me to do?" "Just be there tonight. With a camera. I want everything documented." Wouldn't miss it for the world. The HR meeting is everything I hoped it would be. Janet Williams is a no-nonsense woman in her 50s who takes employee conduct very seriously. When I show her the evidence of Vanessa's affair and explain how she's been using our company's contract to benefit her personal relationship, Janet's expression grows progressively darker. "This is completely unacceptable," she says. "We have strict policies about conflicts of interest and personal relationships with clients." "I'm not looking to cause trouble," I lie smoothly. "I just think the situation needs to be addressed." "It will be. Immediately. Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mr. Cooper." By the time I leave that meeting, Vanessa's career is effectively over. She just doesn't know it yet. At 6:30, I'm getting dressed for dinner when my phone buzzes with a text from Vanessa. "Running a few minutes late. Meet you there?" "No problem," I text back. "Take your time. I want you to look perfect tonight." Because she's going to need all the confidence she can get for what's about to happen. The Meridian Hotel's rooftop bar is exactly the kind of place Vanessa loves. Expensive, trendy, full of beautiful people pretending their lives are more interesting than they actually are. The infinity pool glows with underwater lights, and the city spreads out below us like a circuit board. I arrive at 7 sharp, wearing my best suit and a smile that doesn't reach my eyes. The hostess seats me at a table with a perfect view of both the entrance and the pool area, where I can see Jules and several other people I recognize from Vanessa's social media posts, setting up what looks suspiciously like a party. Vanessa arrives 20 minutes late, which is early for her. She's wearing a black dress that probably cost more than most people make in a week, and she looks stunning. Several men at nearby tables turn to watch her walk across the rooftop, and I feel a familiar pang of pride mixed with rage. "Sorry I'm late," she says, kissing my cheek before sitting down. "Traffic was horrible." "No problem. You look beautiful." "Thank you." She seems nervous, fidgeting with her purse and glancing around the bar. This place is busier than I expected. It's Friday night. People want to celebrate. "Speaking of celebrating," she says, her voice taking on an artificially bright tone, "I have something I need to tell you." "What's that?" She takes a deep breath, and I can see her steeling herself for what comes next. "Daniel, I've been thinking a lot about our conversation the other day, about being honest with each other. And I think we need to separate." The words hang in the air between us like a challenge. She's watching my face carefully, probably expecting shock, anger, tears. Instead, I smile. "Interesting timing," I say. "What do you mean?" "I mean, it's interesting that you want to separate tonight, at this particular place, with all your friends here to witness it." Her face goes pale. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Sure you do. You and Adrian have been planning this for weeks. The grand gesture, the public declaration of your new love, very dramatic, very you." "Daniel, where is he, by the way?" "Adrian? I assume he's here somewhere, waiting for his cue." Vanessa's hands are shaking now. "How long have you known?" "Long enough." "Why didn't you say anything?" "Because I wanted to see how far you'd go. And I have to admit, you exceeded my expectations. Screwing him in our bed was a nice touch. Really drove the point home." She flinches like I've slapped her. "It wasn't supposed to happen like this." How was it supposed to happen? You were going to humiliate me in front of all these people, then ride off into the sunset with your photographer boyfriend? Very romantic. I never meant to hurt you. Bullshit. The word comes out harder than I intended, and several nearby diners turn to look. You meant to hurt me. You wanted to hurt me. The only question is why. Tears are starting to form in her eyes, and for a moment I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. I felt trapped, she whispers, like I was disappearing. You were so focused on work, and I was just there, like a piece of furniture. So you decided to burn the house down instead of talking to me about it. I tried to talk to you. You never listened. When? When did you try? She opens her mouth to answer, then closes it again. Because we both know she never tried. She never said she was unhappy, never asked for marriage counseling, never suggested we work on our problems. She just found someone new and decided I was disposable. It doesn't matter now, she says finally. I want a divorce. Okay. The simple word seems to catch her off guard. Okay? Okay, I'll give you a divorce. I reach into my jacket pocket and pull out a manila envelope. In fact, I've already started the process. Her eyes widen as I slide the envelope across the table. What is this? Divorce papers, property settlement, asset division, everything you need to start your new life. She opens the envelope with trembling fingers, and I watch her face change as she reads the documents Lila prepared. This says I get nothing, she whispers. That's right. The house is mine. Always has been. The cars, also mine. The bank accounts. Joint account gets split 50-50. Everything else stays with me. She looks up at me with something like panic in her eyes. Daniel, you can't do this. I'll fight it. With what money? Oh, and speaking of money, you should probably know that I had a meeting with your HR department today. Something about conflicts of interest and personal relationships with clients. They were very interested in your work with Adrian. The color drains from her face completely now. You didn't. I did. I think the phrase Janet Williams used was immediate termination for cause, which means no severance, no references, and good luck finding another job in social media in this town. You bastard. I'm the bastard? I'm not the one who's been cheating for months. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You got bored with your boring husband and decided to trade up. The only problem is, you picked a loser. Adrian is not a loser. Adrian is broke, unemployed, and about to be homeless. His studio got shut down for code violations, his lease was terminated, and without your company's contract, he has no income. But I'm sure love will conquer all. Vanessa stares at me like she's seeing me for the first time. You did this. You destroyed his business. I didn't have to destroy anything. I just stopped protecting it. What do you mean? I mean, Adrian's been violating building codes for months. His electrical system was a fire hazard, he was subletting without permission, and he was behind on rent. All I did was make sure the right people knew about it. You son of a bitch. Careful, Vanessa. People are starting to stare. And they are. Our conversation has gotten loud enough to attract attention from nearby tables. I can see Jules hovering near the pool area, clearly unsure whether to intervene. This isn't over, Vanessa says, her voice shaking with rage. I'll take you for everything you have. With what lawyer? You're unemployed, remember? And good luck finding someone to take your case on contingency when you have no assets and no income. She stands up abruptly, knocking over her wine glass. The red liquid spreads across the white tablecloth. You think you've won, she says, but you haven't. Adrian and I love each other. We'll figure it out. Where is Adrian, by the way? Shouldn't he be here for the big moment? For the first time since she sat down, Vanessa looks uncertain. He had to deal with some business things. He'll be here. But even as she says it, I can see the doubt in her eyes. Because Adrian Brooks is a user, and users don't stick around when the money runs out. Vanessa. The voice comes from behind me, and we both turn to see Jules approaching our table. She looks nervous and uncomfortable. Can I talk to you for a minute? Not now, Jules. It's about Adrian. Vanessa's face goes very still. What about Adrian? Jules glances at me, then back at Vanessa. He's not coming. What do you mean he's not coming? I mean he left, this afternoon. He packed up what was left of his stuff and drove back to California. The silence that follows is so complete, I can hear the pool filter humming 20 feet away. That's not possible, Vanessa whispers. He left you a note. Jules pulls a folded piece of paper from her purse. He asked me to give it to you. Vanessa takes the note with shaking hands and unfolds it. I can't see what it says, but I can see her face crumble as she reads it. He said he was sorry, Jules adds quietly. But with everything falling apart, he thought it was better to make a clean break. Vanessa sinks back into her chair like someone's let the air out of her. The note flutters to the table, and I can see a few lines of Adrian's pretentious handwriting. Not ready for this kind of commitment, need to focus on my art, hope you understand. So, I say conversationally, looks like you're getting divorced and starting over. Alone. She looks up at me with eyes full of tears and something that might be hatred. You did this. You drove him away. I didn't drive him anywhere. I just showed him who you really are. A married woman with no money and no job, looking for someone to take care of her. Turns out Adrian wasn't interested in that kind of collaboration. I hate you. I know. But you know what? I don't care anymore. I stand up and drop $100 bill on the table. This should cover dinner. The divorce papers are already filed, so you'll be hearing from my lawyer soon. You have 30 days to get your stuff out of the house. Daniel, wait. But I'm already walking away, heading for the elevator. Behind me, I can hear her calling my name, her voice breaking with desperation. I don't look back. Mike is waiting for me in the lobby, grinning like he's just won the lottery. How'd it go? He asks. Better than I hoped. Did you get it all on video? He holds up his phone. Every beautiful second. Jules was live streaming the whole thing to her Instagram. Your wife's meltdown is probably going viral as we speak. Perfect. We walk out into the cool October night, and I feel lighter than I have in months. Somewhere upstairs, Vanessa is probably still sitting at that table, reading Adrian's goodbye note and trying to figure out how her perfect plan went so wrong. But that's not my problem anymore. So what now? Mike asks. Now I go home to my house, pour myself a very expensive whiskey, and start planning the rest of my life. Sounds like a plan. Need any company? Thanks, but no. I think I want to enjoy the silence for a while. And I do. For the first time in months, I'm looking forward to going home to an empty house and a quiet evening. No lies, no drama, no wondering where my wife really is or who she's really with. Just me, my whiskey, and the satisfaction of a job well done. Some people find closure. I prefer demolition.